Welcome back. We're back with breaking political news in the 2016 race for the White House. Two new Republican candidates entered the race this morning with, yes, of course, more to come this week. And moments ago, retired neurosurgeon Dr. Ben Carson stepped on stage at the Music Hall Center for the Performing Arts that's in Detroit to formally launch his presidential campaign.
I'm Ben Carson, and I'm a candidate for President of the United States.
Also this morning, former Hewlett-Packard CEO Carly Fiorina announced her White House bid with a video posted on her campaign website and on social media. The video featured a familiar face.
I'm getting ready to do something too. I'm running for president.
Our founders never intended us to have a professional political class. They believed that citizens and leaders needed to step forward. We know the only way to reimagine our government is to reimagine who is leading it. I'm Carly Fiorina, and I'm running for president.
Carson and Fiorina will be joined by former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, who's expected to make his big announcement tomorrow. So let me bring in our News Nation political panel. Politico Magazine's senior writer Glenn Thrush, conservative radio talk show host Deace, and Newsweek, the Daily Beast contributor Patricia Murphy. Thank you all for joining. Steve, let me start with you, just picking up on what Carly Fiorina said regarding this political class. Obviously, the same argument can be made for Jeb Bush. So later down the line, this hit that she keeps tagging with Hillary Clinton or on Hillary Clinton, are we likely to see that in the primary debates when your party fights it out regarding Jeb Bush when he does finally launch his campaign?
I don't think there's any question about that, Tamara, and I think one of the goals of the rest of the field is to isolate Jeb Bush, as Marco Rubio puts it, as yesterday's candidate. And if you look at what Carly Fiorina and Ben Carson have in common, they come from the private sector. They have huge resumes, long list of accomplishments, worked their way up from literally the bottom. Carly Fiorina was a secretary to become the head of a Fortune 500 company. Ben Carson's life story, of course, has been regaled in countless books and even a movie starring Cuba Gooding Jr. And overall, there's just a lot of impatience and a desire to move on from the current political class, Tamara. People, particularly in the Republican Party, are looking for new blood.
Glenn, let me bring you in because Bill Clinton gave an exclusive interview with the Today Show, and he brought up the point that he and Hillary, especially obviously his background, they worked their way up to the success level that they are. He didn't have anything. His father died, before he even got a chance to know his dad, and that some people are applauded, like Carly Fiorina and Ben Carson, for bringing up their lives to this point of wealth, and then others are deemed rich people who do not care. Let me play a little, though, what he said regarding this foundation and what continues to hover over Hillary Clinton's campaign.
There has been a very deliberate attempt to take the foundation down. And there is almost no new fact that's known now that wasn't known when she ran for president the first time. I asked Hillary about this, and she said, no one's ever tried to influence me by helping you. No one has even suggested they have a shred of evidence to that effect.
So you have Carly Fiorina going after the political class, the affluent, the elite, which would include, I guess, the Clintons here. Would it have been logical or more reasonable to continue the hits with this foundation and these issues?
Well, I just have to take what the former president said. I mean, there is a lot of new information that we didn't know before,
right.
And in fact, the foundation is restating several years of its tax returns because of admitted errors and omissions. I think the president, the former president, said a lot of things today in his interview with Cynthia McFadden on NBC in Africa that are going to be remembered. He said, I think the term that he used, I think that Republicans are going to keep throwing back up in his face, is that any of the mistakes that may have been done at the foundation were unintentional. And I think that is going to come back to haunt them. I think Hillary Clinton is probably happy that the president, Bill Clinton, answered these questions instead of having her to answer them. But there's 3 or 4 things that he said in this interview that are going to open up further questions.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you, and that's why it's so curious that, you have Republicans who talk about this notion of this class of people who continue to float through our political circle, even in the higher office, when there are some questions that Clinton supporters would even have to admit still linger, including the foundation, as you pointed out, Glenn, who made specific changes as a result of these revelations.
Yeah, I just think that, this is obviously going to be an ongoing set of questions. The president didn't really dismiss all those. The one thing I would say about Carly Fiorina and Ben Carson is their life stories are complicated by what they have done since, obviously what they have done since their bootstrap stories. Carly Fiorina has lost a couple of elections. She lent herself some money. She's run probably the most bizarre political ad in my lifetime, the Demon Sheep ad. And Ben Carson, there was an extensive piece on him in GQ by my friend Jason Zangerli a couple weeks ago, in which he wasn't really able to, it seemed, to comprehend how a parliamentary system works. So these are two candidates that have got a good bootstrap story, but proving you're fit to govern is another issue.
Absolutely. And speaking of fit to govern and where someone has other issues is Chris Christie. Patricia, we're waiting to hear more information out of court today, but you've got this New York Times article that goes on to say that Chris Christie is in damage control. The headline was Christie's Camp Mobilizes to Save White House Hopes, and they even talk about his wife and other allies going to donors, asking them to hang on and still believe in him.
Yeah, well, he needs to be going into damage control mode, and he really has been in damage control mode for more than a year, especially since the Bridgegate controversy broke wide open. And for Chris Christie, you just have to wonder, even if none of this was happening, where is the space in this incredibly crowded field for him with so many candidates who are also going after those establishment dollars? A lot of these candidates also, you can look at somebody like Scott Walker, don't have any huge, big black mark negatives on their records. A lot of these candidates are coming out of the gate with a lot of positives. Chris Christie comes out of the gate with a ton of negatives, a lot of personal, behavioral issues just with the way he interacts with voters, and it's captured on TV all the time. Where's the place for him in this field anyway? And then you lump this huge controversy, his closest associates getting indicted. I don't know where the space was before, and I certainly don't know where it is in the future.
I'll let you, Steve, get in this. As the conservative here, as pointed out in the Times, it says behind the scenes, his aides, his allies, even his wife were mobilizing, working the phones, blasting out memos to supporters, trying to hold on to whatever chance Mr. Christie had to make a run at the presidency. Does he have a chance? Is there room for him, even in the hearts of conservatives like yourself, Steve?
Dead on arrival, Tamron. Dead on arrival.
All right, well, that's
no chance. There's a better chance, Tamron. Tamron, there's a better chance you'll be the Republican nominee than Chris Christie.
How did I know you'd have some quippy, wonderful thing to end it on? Thank you very much, and I will not be announcing anytime soon. Got too much in my past. Thank you all for joining. Appreciate it. All right, developing now, though, two former allies of, as mentioned, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie are in court right now being charged in that so-called Bridgegate scandal. Stay with us. We'll have the very latest developments on what's happening in court and the impact it could have on Christie's political future.